Hey guys, welcome back. So episode 2. In episode 2, we're going to talk about anchoring systems. So in episode 1, you picked out a trap. Now you have your traps and you're running out to your line and you're trying to figure out how to catch these animals. How are you going to keep your trap where you put it? Or how are you going to make sure that that animal doesn't run away with your trap? So this is going to be for just land trapping. I'm going to show you the ones that I use. And I'm going to talk about a couple other ones. I'm going to put lots of links, lots of pictures to other websites in this video so you understand all your options when it comes to earth anchors. Now, a long time ago, people used to just use stakes, like a rebar stake, T-bar stakes, down in the ground, and I've never done that, so I can't speak from experience. I've seen people do it before. Some people still do it. The main reason why I think it's not very popular nowadays is the weight of that. So if you can imagine a rebar stake, a piece of it, holding your trap down to the ground so that that animal can't get out. And when coyotes got really popular, I know a lot of people were crisscrossing, putting 2 in there on different angles to hold that trap down. So that is something I don't know much about, and I would say for most people, I think that's out of the question to use them. What I use are Berkshires. I'm going to turn this around and actually show how I put them in, and I'm going to show you how I put in an earth anchor, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about some other setups you could possibly have. So stick around. All right, so here is the one I like to use. I'm going to lay it down here. It's already looking like spring around the house, but this is called a Berkshire. I believe this is a 15-inch heavy-duty stake. I like the ones that have the tip that's bent over like this, because when you use the driver's going to sit into that nice. Now, like I said, there's lots and lots and lots of different kind of earth anchors out there. Each one of them normally has their own kind of driver. So here is the heavy-duty version of the driver for that right there. All it really is, all the tip is just kind of a dulled point. That's it. Now they have cheaper versions that are a little bit thinner, a little bit smaller. You know, I like having a bunch of these around, meaning I normally buy 2 of these and hang on to them, and every year I seem to break one. I break them right there. Now some of you might be like, well, then get some different stakes. I used to use earth anchors, but I have a habit of, wolf fangs. I used to use wolf fangs all the time, and I have a bad habit of using my wolf fang driver to make my dirt holes, and then I'd get my wolf fang driver all clogged up, and it just became a nuisance. So I can show you that too. So this is a Berkshire with the bent over tip, and I'm going to show you lots of different pictures of these different kinds. I like this kind because my driving system doesn't slip off of it when I put it down in the ground. They have another kind that just has a small little cup at the end, and that one I always had problems with, so I just switched over to just strictly these. Where's my other trap? Let me grab the other one. Okay, so I showed you the Berkshire. Now this one here is the wolf fang. A lot of people highly regard these, and that's fine. I just had issues with mine. Nothing major. It's probably my own fault. It has nothing to do with the maker of that. But just like the Berkshire, that anchor right there also has its own driver. All right, and this driver is pretty stout, and it has grooves in it. And I think that was my problem all along, is I would get junk and just corrosion down in those things, and it would be hard to pull it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you me putting these traps in, and just kind of teach you a little bit about how to anchor a trap so that it won't go anywhere once you catch something. All right, so I'm gonna start with the Berkshire. That's the common thing that I use. And if I have a Berkshire, I'm gonna do all this so you can see. Here's the tip of the Berkshire. I'm gonna put the tip of my driver just like that, and I'll normally slide my hand back down the cable a little bit to keep it taut, pick where I want to put it, and then normally I just shove. Now right now it's a little bit wet out here just from rain, so it's pretty easy, but I keep tension on my pole the entire time so that the tip of that doesn't slip off the edge of my anchor underground. Once I get it where I want it, I grab my hammer and I just pound this on in. Now I like to pound it all the way until I hit the end of my anchor, and then I normally bury it beyond that. So right now my anchor's already way down on the ground, and I've gone all the way to some of the swivels that are in my chain. I do this because of past experience. Past experience says to me that I need to bury that as deep as I can, and then once I get it buried, I pull up on my trap and I set that. So all I'm trying to do is whatever anchoring system you have under the ground, I'm trying to get it to go from this position to this position. So when it's deep down there underground and an animal's yanking on it, it can't come out. That's the point. So now I've got my trap on. How well you can see that, but thumping on it, and it's down in there, right? And when you pull back on it, it's going to pull a little bit. I mean, it's going to come up 3-4 inches, whatever. That's okay. You know, I wouldn't stress about that, but that's how you anchor it in with that system. It's pretty much the same exact thing with the Wolf thing, just a different driver. Now I'm going to show you a different way that you can anchor your trap. All right, so now I've got a foothold here, and I only use these in certain situations. What I'm talking about are drags. Some people are exclusively drags. I mean, they use them all the time. Other people exclusively use earth anchors. I normally use earth anchors because I'm on private ground, but the point of a drag is wherever you decide to make your set, you have your trap and you set it and it's in the ground somewhere. You have chain running off of your trap. And I have number 2 machine chain, and you have that running all the way to a drag, which almost, for the person that's never seen one before, it almost kind of looks like a little boat anchor. The idea behind this is, let's say you have a road near your house or a quad trail somewhere on public land where you see lots of coyote or fox scat. You set the trap, you make a nice set right beside that track, and you catch that animal. That animal runs out of the open and into the woods before it gets hung up on trees, brush, sticks, whatever, with this drag. Now, this is nice because you don't have to do a lot of pounding in the ground. It all depends on your situation and why you would want to use it. I hear a lot of people say anywhere between 8 foot and 12 foot of chain. So from the end of your chain of your trap, you get machine chain from 8 to 12 foot long. It seems to work for a lot of people. I see some people use lots and lots of chain. I see some people use a lot less. I would imagine the more chain you have as an animal's running through the woods gives it more sway, easier for it to get hung up on things. This is it's a really good idea if you want to make if you have an idea for a really good set. You set it in the ground and you can keep catching numerous animals out of it. They keep running into the woods, and that set's going to always work for you. You just got to walk back up, reset your trap. Now, the way people do that is, we haven't discussed any of this yet, but when you make your trap bed, so whenever you make a hole for this trap to go into the ground, most people cut a little channel out of the dirt to bury this, and most of them only go about 2 feet away, burying the chain, and they leave the rest, some of them exposed or just thrown in the woods. Most of the time it's along the the edge of a field or the edge of a woods where you can hide that anchor. You want to hide that drag so that people aren't seeing it. If people see it, then they might be interested, get out and figure out what you're up to. I'm not saying you're doing this for like a legal, for legal purposes. You're just doing it so people don't steal your stuff. That's the main reason why people use drags in the first place, because if you have that thing anchored right beside a quad trail and you catch a coyote and someone goes quad riding before you get to check your traps, they're going to see that coyote. And believe me, I've had it happen to me. A couple people have screwed around with my catches in the past. So all right, so you decided on your anchoring system, you've gone, put your traps on the ground, maybe made a couple catches, and it's time to move your traps, or your season's over and you need to get that earth anchor out of the ground. How are you going to do it? A lot of different ways. So here's what a dozen of the anchors look like that I get. They come bundled up just like that, and I'll show you the prices for all this kind of stuff. I'll have screenshots of the prices and the websites that I get them from. Now these ones, these are one of the cheaper ones. I pound these down on the ground, set them all the way down. If I can get my quad over to it, I'll take my quad. I have a winch on the front of my quad, and I've made a video about this in the past. I will drop the front of my winch down, hook it into the top of my anchor, and I will pull up with the winch, pulling this out of the ground. And if you do it right, this is tough. Sometimes it'll pull down the front suspension of your quad. I just seen a video from Mark J. Larson where he was talking about putting a block underneath it. Great idea, however you decide to do that's fine, but you can dig the ground up to get that anchor out of the ground. But these here are classified as disposable. So if I have a hard time with that winch for whatever reason, if this right here breaks when I'm trying to pull up on it, or for whatever reason I just can't get it out of the ground, I will cut my cable. I'll get as much of the cable up as I can see it. I'll take a pair of wire snips and I'll cut it, and I'll leave it in the ground because I know that it's thin enough, it's going to rust and rot away. Some of the other ones are a lot more serious, and you have to come up with a solution to get them out. If the quad winch thing's not working, they do have a couple stake pullers that you can buy through F&T Post, Hoosier Trapper Supply, lots of places. I'll show you pictures of them, put links to that kind of stuff on there. And pretty much it's just using a like a fulcrum kind of thing. It's a pole that they have designed with a little, like a J hook on it that hooks into the top of your anchor, and it's a big long bar that you pull it out of the ground. I've heard a lot of people say that works very well for them, but you can dig it, You can use the fulcrum method with the chain puller. The winch on a machine is the best, I promise. Now, for my own personal trap line, right now I'm running the Berkshires. I'm gonna start walking out of this wind so you can hear me better. Right now I'm running the Berkshires, but next year I'm looking to maybe switch over to the Fox Hollow Super Stakes. So instead of having this cable, I would have #2 machine chain going all the way to the anchor itself. And the Fox Hollow ones are more like a hollowed out cup that you just put a pole in and pound in, and they look pretty stout. I've never used them, but I've heard they're pretty good. Most people that use them say they're the best, and you can pull them out of the ground and reuse them over and over and over again. They're expensive, but they're probably worth it. The amount of money I spend with these disposable stakes, it'd probably be best for me to go to the Fox Hollow Super Stakes. So I'm going to show you guys some images right now and some prices and stuff right now. Guys, I hope this part 2 was, not part 2, but episode 2 was helpful to you about anchoring systems. I'm going to keep going with this until, like I said, until I run out of knowledge. I hope that these videos inspire you just enough to get up off of that couch and get out there and do it yourself. I wish I would have had these type of videos when I started. I found a couple that were pretty close, but I'm trying to be as exhaustive with it as I can, just to show you the ins and outs of just getting going with trapping. Once again, thank you so much for watching this video. Tight chains, God bless, and I'll see y'all on episode 3.